Hey everyone, welcome to another serving of convention tea. In this episode, we will be talking about WinterCon 2026 here at the Wisteria Cottage. So basically, WinterCon took place at the end of March, and it is Southern California's springtime pop culture show. WinterCon is a sibling con to San Diego Comic Con. The best way I can describe WinterCon, it's San Diego Comic Con without Hall H and without the Hollywood side of it. However, it is still a fun convention. I usually have like mixed feelings about WonderCon, but let's see how what I thought of WonderCon 2026 in this edition of Convention Tea. And if you're new to Convention Tea, I run a website called Scarlet Rhapsody. This website has been running for the past 20 plus years, covering conventions from coast to coast. These days, we mainly stick on the West Coast, including the Pacific Northwest. We're based in Southern California. And basically, we've been reviewing conventions, giving honest reviews, just our honest thoughts, whether it's on our website, whether it's on a live stream such as this. I love taking photos of cosplayers in their natural habitat, nothing Photoshop or highly edited, just cosplayers just hanging out at the convention. I like taking photos of vibes, what's trending, and just what's selling at the dealer's hall. And of course, I like to reiterate every part of this presentation was made by human hands. Even though I'm a VTuber, even though it's all technological here at the Wisteria Cottage, everything here you see is all made by humans. We are very anti-AI here at the Wisteria Cottage. Okay, so WinterCon again took place towards the end of March. Tickets to WinterCon cost about $135. Day badges can range up between $65 to about $75, give or take. So for WinterCon, we were asked to perform a Sailor Moon history panel on Saturday. So that was our main reason to check out WonderCon. We did submit the Y2K anime fandom panel, but it looks like they wanted the Sailor Moon one instead, which is perfectly fine. So anyway, let's just get to WonderCon. But first, a word from our sponsors. I'd like to give a special shout out to Wild Fae Writes. If you could support them, we would very much appreciate it. My friend Wild Fae Writes has gone through some hard times right now. If you can commission them, whether it is a custom heart charm or necklace, or even doing a pet portrait of your fur baby, they're a great person to work with. In fact, I might have them work on some of my stickers for upcoming events. And with that said, you can check them out in the link in the description of this YouTube video. Please commission them. They are amazing and they deserve to be supported. So for WonderCon, I brought in 3 cosplays. 2 of the 3 are new. I brought in Felicity Merriman from the American Girls collection. While I could have brought in anime or any pop culture type of cosplays, I wanted to just bring in costumes that just felt authentically me. I was very inspired by the Pacific Northwest cosplayers who have brought on American Girl, and I'm like, I need a cosplay from this because this has been a part of my childhood, and I just ended up making Felicity Merriman's birthday outfit over here. And because I am such in love with Bridgerton, I love Sophie and Benedict, I decided to cosplay as the Lady in Silver from Bridgerton season 4. This was just so much fun to make, and I got a lot of compliments cosplaying as the Lady in Silver. I never know how people are going to react if I cosplay from something that is not what you consider really geek culture. Bridgerton, it's more like on the book girly side, but there is like a lot of crossover with the book girlies, the bookworms, with Comic Con. So I just ended up cosplaying as a Lady in Silver. One of my friends, Crystal Fett, has a booth, and she was doing like a Bridgerton portrait gotcha, and she was really nervous because like she really wanted me to get the portrait of Sophie. I was also okay with Benedict as well because Benedict is my favorite orange cat boy. So this is a lot of fun to wear. The mask wasn't even an issue either, and I'm looking forward to the next convention where I can wear Sophie again. And of course, I decided to wear Taylor Swift in the Tortured Poets outfit from the Eras Tour, the second leg. And of course, I also got a ton of compliments of cosplaying as Taylor Swift. Yeah. Love these cosplays. I also like to highlight what were some of the popular fandoms present at WonderCon. So we have like a lot of folks cosplaying from Marvel Rivals, a lot of people in different Marvel Rivals skins. I would have to say that I saw more folks cosplay as Marvel Rival versions of the comic book characters than like any of the MCU versions. Just some observation I just want to put out there. I also saw K-pop Demon Hunters cosplayers. This fandom is not going to die anytime soon. It's riding high on that Oscar win, and I'm just hoping to see more K-pop Demon Hunter cosplays in the future. And I hope to bust out my Zoe one of these days because I finally got my Zoe cosplay after waiting since October for Zoe. So probably knock on wood, next convention I will be wearing Zoe. I'm looking so forward to it. And then we had a lot of Resident Evil cosplayers. This one actually surprised me. Is there an anniversary coming up? Maybe someone in the comments can tell me why there was like a huge presence of Resident Evil cosplayers because I'd like to know. And maybe one of these days I can cosplay as Lady D. I also wanted to highlight that there was like a lot of music related cosplayers. So we have Sabrina Carpenter in the Juno outfit from the Short and Sweet tour. We have Papa over here from Ghost in the after party jacket. And I was also happy to see one artist also sell like some Ghost related fan merch. And of course, we have Taylor Swift in the 1989 outfits. One of the many 1989 uh, color combinations from the Eras tour during the second leg. I can't believe I know that specific info. When I saw the Eras tour, I got the orange and green set, I think. Of course, I like to highlight surprise fandoms that have surprised me at the convention. And I'm just so happy that these exist because it's just so cool just seeing like the creativity people bring. So we have Dr. Oakham from Independence Day. And Independence Day is celebrating their 30th anniversary. So my buddy Dan here decided to cosplay as Data's character from Independence Day. And then we also have Honoka from Love Live in the Yumi no Tobira outfit. It might not be a surprise to you, but it's a surprise to me because I don't see like a lot of Love Live cosplayers, and usually Love Live is not a cosplay that I would do at like a Comic Con. But you know what? Kudos to the Honoka cosplayer. She's actually also part of an idol group called Supernova, and I've also been following Supernova as well. And I just love seeing like custom made Love Live cosplays. I've also made my own Yume no Tobira cosplay for Nico, and I made two Honoka Yume no Tobiras, and I just love how they just really pulled it off. And it's one of my favorite. I'm also very biased because it's one of my favorite versions of what Muse wears. And here's Johnny. We have someone cosplaying as Jack Torrance from The Shining. And the adorer is actually like a tearaway. So when I asked to take a photo, he actually did it as he was just trying to axe a hole into the door. I'm like, I love that kind of creativity. And before we go to our day by day breakdown, I just want to give a shout out to my idol group, Angel Hearts. You can follow us on YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram over at Angel Hearts Idols. Definitely give us a follow. We could definitely use a lot more love. Angel Hearts is one of the OG Kaigai idol groups. So if you just want to see like where it all began, you can follow us on our YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram, and we'd love to see our little cherubs check us out. All right. WonderCon is a 3-day convention. I went on all 3 days. You can see all the hustle and bustle outside the Anaheim Convention Center. Outside the Anaheim Convention Center, you have your food trucks. And I gotta be honest here, in this economy, getting food from the food trucks can be overpriced. So what I did was one of my usual convention hacks is to just bring my own salad from Trader Joe's and just find a tuffet to sit on. A friend of mine, they bought teriyaki bowls and lemonade, and it cost them like close to $30 to $40 for a plate. I'm like, at this point, you're probably better off eating at a restaurant. Like, I'm all for supporting small businesses, and I know we all have to survive, but I also know that a lot of us have a certain type of budget too. So, again, like, just heads up if you are planning to go to a convention at the Anaheim Convention Center and you're running low on some cash and some funds, you probably might want to consider perhaps bringing your own lunch. Getting your badge, I felt, was fairly easy to do. You kind of had to go on the opposite side of the convention center if you had parked right by the Hilton. It's not too bad of a walk because we had industry badges because we were doing a Sailor Moon panel. It was just in and out, just showed your QR code or show your ID, and you're immediately in. I always bring a lanyard with me just so it's just also to be eco-friendly, and I also like having my own lanyard so I can differentiate my badge from others, so there's like no confusion. So yeah, this is what registration looked like on Friday. Very easy, pick up to show up your QR code and you're done. And then once you've picked up your badge, you can head straight to the vendor hall. And the vendor hall, they have like a lot of different things going on. Of course, you're gonna see like a lot of your blind box type of vendors. You have like these folks making custom Labubus, and they're wearing the Demon Slayer core outfits over here. I'm not really a Labubu person, but I do like seeing all the customizations that people make for them. And then again, like I saw a ton of Resident Evil cosplayers just kind of running around on Friday, and this is just a whole group of them. We got Ashley's, you got Ada's, you got Leon's over here. And then another highlight was just seeing the Genome booth. It's not pictured here, but they were also giving away a Bridgerton special edition sewing machine. It was a version that was had like this dark blue and wisteria kind of decoration towards it. And I'm like, I kind of need this. I'm actually in the market for a brand new sewing machine because my computerized sewing machine, the circuit broke. And the cost of replacing the circuit is going to be the same cost as if I've got the Bridgerton machine. So I'm like, hey, I will definitely consider this. I could have bought it at the convention because they did have a special convention price. However, I had SoccerCon the following weekend, so like had I not been going to SoccerCon, maybe I would have picked it up. But I was just very happy. Ooh, I can see the Bridgerton machine in the flesh because I have seen it before on Amazon. Like I said, there were a lot of Marvel Rivals cosplayers at WonderCon. I was actually just trying to figure out who the Gentleman Blue is. Obviously, it's Iron Man when you see him in context, but he was just walking around, and me and a friend of mine, we were like, wait, who is this guy? Is he like businessman, man? He'll like do your taxes and audit like in a flash right before the April 15th deadline. And then I actually took the photo, sent it to a friend of mine who plays Marvel Rivals. He's like, no, it's Tony Stark in a certain skin of for the character. Like, okay, cool. So again, like a lot of Marvel love for Marvel Rivals at WonderCon. Of course, it's more dealers hall vibes. Again, like really popular on the gotcha. I like how this one just kind of makes it look like an Asian like mini mart. And stationery was also very popular between the vendor hall and artist alley. One of my friends, they actually picked up some stationery, some cards, postcards, stickers from this gentleman right here. And they actually are going to be commissioning this gentleman to also make their wedding invitations. As a League of Legends player, or whenever my friends are available for League of Legends, I saw this cosplayer over here, and I just like, oh, this is brilliant. I love it. And then likewise, yeah, you have K-pop Demon Hunters cosplayers. I don't know why this image just kind of came out really funky. But what I wanted to highlight was we had karaoke ran by Lamar, the con guy. I believe the reason why I decided to highlight K-pop Demon Hunters over there is I discovered this because people were singing Golden in the middle of the jungle area of the Anaheim Convention Center. So like, oh hey, karaoke's on. So for Lamar, he uses an app called Kara Fun. Unfortunately, with Kara Fun, it's it's very limited in what songs they have to offer. So a lot of the songs, you kind of, if it's there, like it's doable. However, it's not like YouTube where you can just find a karaoke version of something and sing along to it. In other words, they didn't have the ghost song I wanted to sing. However, I do like the fact that we have like a lot of love for karaoke out here, even though it's not official programming. Lamar, the con guy, really brings it up another level here. And also, we had another person bringing in karaoke when Lamar was completed his run of karaoke. That guy who does bring in the karaoke stuff, he actually uses YouTube, so I was able to sing something from Ghost with when he had it set up. And of course, we had a couple of this. I like love how like we had like a lot of Starfire cosplayers just get gather here and attempt to do the Spider-Man pose. Well, we have Starfire and we also have Raven, and we're all like just also putting Robin in the middle too. All right, before we go on to Saturday, I want to give a shout out to Cosplay Wrestling Federation, the best in cosplay sports entertainment. Cosplay Wrestling Federation is a no contact cosplay comedy show. This has been running for the past 10 years and it intends to keep the hype up. So if you want to go ahead and follow us, you can give us a follow on Instagram and our YouTube channel where we archive all of our past performances. All right, so Saturday, a friend of mine decided to join me. My friend Geki is a huge Marvel Rivals person. So basically, one of his missions for WonderCon was to get as many autographs as he could with his Marvel Rivals comics. This is Jeff. He's actually wearing clothes. It's Jeff the Shark, and then in the background you can see Laura Post over here. I ended up just getting a candid shot of her. Laura and I, we go way back. We go as far as back as Anime Central 2002, back when I used to do that convention. And I'm just so happy that she's doing all these voice work. She was Nehelenia in Sailor Moon. She voices one of my mains in League of Legends, Ari. And she actually was nudging me into like, you're gonna cosplay as Ari at like Mickey's Halloween party, right? Like, I don't know if they will allow me to bring the tail. I probably might wear Seraphine instead. Also on Saturday, we have a couple of cosplay highlights right here. I was very happy to see Sloth from the Goonies. And words I cannot say on YouTube. We have that butthole. And then we also have Squirrel Girl. I love seeing Squirrel Girl cosplayers. Just seeing how they do the tail and just seeing like all the different versions of Squirrel Girl. I was actually convinced to someone actually convinced me to cosplay as Squirrel Girl in one of the Marvel Rivals variants. But we'll see. Cosplay costs money. And like I said earlier, I cosplayed as the Lady in Silver from Bridgerton. And yes, wearing one glove is canonical if you are familiar with that particular scene. I actually have a sticker of it on my computer. And then I just ended up just taking photos of these gals in ball gowns. And like, this was just so amazing. It was really cool just walking around Artist Alley and just people just recognizing my cosplay just immediately. Again, I didn't know how Bridgerton was going to be received at a pop culture convention such as WonderCon, but seeing that one artist had Bridgerton artwork, one artist also had Bridgerton cat theme artwork, I was pretty well received. Like even authors recognized what I was from. Claudia Gray, who writes a couple of the Star Wars books and a couple of Jane Austen retellings, actually noticed me when I was walking past her booth. She was like, Sophie! And then Claudia and Gray and I, we just kind of geeked out over Bridgerton. And now I need to read her Jane Austen retellings. Of course, I kind of ran into the Indiana Jones gathering. I love how they have George Lucas in the back, in like this front and center here. Also not Indiana Jones related, but we did have a NCR march in the middle of WonderCon. I actually ran into this as I was like coming back from lunch and just like looking at this march of like the NCR folks here. You even had like one person waving the New California Republica flag over there. And of course, my buddy and I, we have to debate whether or not, like, okay, is it two bears or one bear? Is it two minds, one body, or yeah. It's just one of the random things we just debate about. And of course, I also ran into the Wizard of Oz gathering. Not only they had Wicked, but they had like all of interpretations and interpolations of the Wizard of Oz. I wonder if I could show up in cosplay from the anime version of the Wizard of Oz because they actually go as far as Ozma. And if you see like some of that Art Deco kind of designs, or rather Art Nouveau designs of Ozma, like I want to cosplay that, but I'm not sure if new school Oz people would recognize it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Wicked. Wicked is like a musical that helped me in a very low point in my life, but I'm also a fan of all interpretations, well, most interpretations of The Wizard of Oz. Or if I go as Dorothy from Return to Oz and carry on a chicken with me. It's always cool to see Matrix cosplayers like, yay, this is kind of like my high school days. And then, of course, just want to highlight more of the Marvel Rivals cosplays. I got to see like this Jeff the Shark model doll like around the con a lot over the weekend, and I love that Deadpool is riding the shark. At least he's not jumping the shark. Other cosplays I wanted to highlight. So we have like the salsa folks over here. We have Jeffrey the giraffe. I always see this guy at conventions because I remember it was like one ALA. I think it was ALA last year. I saw the guy who was cosplaying as this giraffe over here pack up his car, and I just saw like the head of Jeffrey on a wagon. I'm like, wow, it is a giraffe without a body. This is so surreal. And then this is not a black mage, it's Orko from Masters of the Universe. I kind of like had a derp moment where I was like, wait, is that a black mage from like Final Fantasy? Like, no, it's Orko. And I messaged that to my friend Rams, and I like Rams. I apologize that I miss like associated your fandom with Final Fantasy. I also wanted to highlight that we went to the 10 Forward Lounge. This is basically the lounge where you can like just grab chips, snacks, sodas. It's usually open like later in the evening, like around 7 o'clock when the dealer's hall like closes up. So basically, I had my panel like later in the evening, so just to kill time, my buddy and I we decided to just kind of chill out over the 10 Forward Lounge. We were just kind of like just chit chatting with people at our table. We were enjoying like our snacks. I really like the kettle chips they had here, and they also had a memorial here for folks that have passed in the that have passed like in, who have passed recently. So they had like a nice little memorial shrine to them here. Of course, this was themed to 10 Forward. Okay, I admit I don't know much about the next generation, so I just kept calling this character here Sister Mary Clarence from The View, Whoopi Goldberg's character. So basically, like, again, I'm not too familiar with Next Generation. I'm more so familiar with the original series, but she was wearing a Wakanda version of her character from Star Trek, Next Generation. And we had like games, we had trivia. You were free to participate or not. I thought this room just had like a lot of chill vibes. This was held in the Hilton, so it's a little bit of a walk from the convention center. But once you find this area, it's like, yes, like it's comfortable. You don't want to leave. The bathrooms nearby are very clean. And you can just enjoy just like unlimited soda. I had my root beer, had my extra caffeine boost before my panel, and just decided to like everyone was just pretty chill at our table. It's just a nice way to just kind of unwind and just also socialize and also just build a little bit of community here and there. And this is just me and my buddy just kind of like just hanging out right before our panel. The panel went great. Basically, we were over and on the second floor of the Anaheim Convention Center. I want to say we had about 50% of the room full, and we even had people who were just like just waiting all day for this panel to happen. And I'm just really was very happy that we had like a lot of Sailor Moon fans come out. This is my first time doing Moon Prism Pop Tarts, a history of Sailor Moon in North America. For the first time, I want to say since KomoriCon. I haven't done this panel in a while. I mean, granted, even though KomoriCon was a couple of months ago, it's just been a while since I've made this panel and done this panel live in California. Because I think the last time before KomoriCon was probably KrakenCon, and that was up in Oakland. And I think one of the reasons why I decided to retire this panel was because I got heckled from the front row, and it just made me feel very uncomfortable. And I just decided to just give it a break for a while. And because I still want to see Sailor Moon content and Sailor Moon programming, because I've been complaining for the longest time that like we need more Sailor Moon programming at conventions. Like, fine, I'll be that person to do it, and I'll do my history panel on it. And it's such a fun panel. I enjoy doing it. And my friend here ended up just being my panel clicker person and also person to explain just tokusatsu and Super Sentai tropes while I needed a water break. And also shout out to WonderCon staff for providing bottled water because that was very essential to my survival. Yeah, I was very happy to finally just check out the con suite because like yeah, like it's nice to just have some a caffeine boost that doesn't cost you $4 a soda. And before we continue on with Sunday, Convention Tea is brought to you by YMAX Sweaters. They are a longtime supporter and sponsor for our stream. You can use my code YMAC-Dame Asmal to get 40% off your order. And thank you to everyone who's been using this because I actually do get royalties and I do get a kickback for every dollar spent here when you use my code here. So definitely check it out. It's a great place to just bundle up on cozy loungewear, housewear. Great for Lolita fashion, great for J fashion. A lot of animal print for all my Gyaru friends out there. So definitely check it out and use my code. All right, Sunday. Talk about Sunday morning anime. What was so surreal was like going straight to the Filipino mythology panel and then walking by the anime room and it was showing Saint Tail. And I'm like, I haven't seen this anime in like ages. I actually own the dolls for Saint Tail. So I was just as surprised as you are. Like just like, oh hey, it's Saint Tail on Sunday morning. This is awesome. And I love how we have like the one otaku like just sitting there. It's just nice to see like anime being played at conventions because like video rooms are like almost a thing of the past. But this just also I always felt like video rooms were just like a nice way to just unwind and just kind of like sort of like take a breather between events, walking. So I did check out the Filipino mythology panel. I thought my friend and we thought this mythology panel was gonna be focused on like just talk about various pantheons, gods, goddesses, fairies within Filipino culture, but rather it was more so focused on individuals talking about their various projects that tied in with Filipino mythology and their pantheon of gods. So, for example, we had stories about this topless female warrior. And then we also had this collection of Filipino mythological legends, such as Panday or Durha. And it's the way how the author described it. It's like, yeah, each person gets like their own book and they have like their team up book. So it's kind of like going through the MCU, but Filipino mythology. Of course, my buddy Joe there was there to promote his comic series, Dawada, where and also his what he's also been releasing too. We also had Kid Heroes here, who's in charge of the Lumpia What Invention series, among the what's in the Lumpia universe. So I thought this was just kind of cool just to see just various Filipino comic creators just talk about their latest works and their latest projects, and I thought that was pretty interesting too. And of course, here's my buddy, and one of the creators. This is actually my buddy Earl. You might recognize him from Arcane. He's in season 2, and he's also the voice of Loris. You can also hear him in Teamfight Tactics. And my buddy and I, we play quite a bit of Teamfight Tactics. And every time we run into each other, like we have to like just drop some League lore onto him. So we kind of been like his official like League explaining people. We had to League explain things to him. Anyway, but yeah, Earl's a good guy. He's very friendly. So if you're like into Arcane or League of Legends, he's very approachable. He's very personable. Sunday was also my huge panel day, so this is like where I would just been hopping from panel to panel. I attended the adaptation panel. So this is a panel of authors talking about adapting various works and kind of creating their own spin to it. So you have here Claudia Gray, who is also reworking some Jane Austen stories with her take on it, and also I have a new friend here. She's she wrote Sing the Night, and it's basically a Phantom of the Opera retelling. I am so stoked to read this. It's on my to be read list, or for you book people out there, TBR. And it was just kind of interesting, just kind of hearing everyone's insights on what is what is to faithfully adapt something, what is to stray away from the source material, and how do you still like be true to something but still creating your own voice to it. So I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, it had like authors that I've discovered like a lot of new favorite authors through this panel. And like, yay, I have more things I want to read. I have more things I want to check out. And I have more author friends because of this. Yay. And then I also went to the Legend of Taylor panel. And just to kind of tell you, like, I had an interesting story just trying to find this panel. So, WonderCon, they have a brand new setup this year for tabletop RPGs. And I call this the WonderCon Backrooms. So, it's in that new building, and you have to go down the escalators to this basement to what looks like a backrooms kind of thing. If you're not familiar with backrooms lore, you can look it up later, but it was just kind of going through these back rooms, and it's completely empty, and like, am I in the right place? Am I still at WonderCon? Because there was very few staff people right there, because I think the only person who was checking badges, or like anyone wearing like a convention center staff shirt, was a guy at the escalator checking your badges before you go down the escalator into the WonderCon back rooms. So I went to into the Legend of Taylor panel, and basically, just to break it down for y'all, basically it's a D&D campaign set in a fantasy world that's based on the songs and lore of Taylor Swift. These people have inspired me to play D&D again, and my character for the campaigns that I'm part of, um, it's kind of funny because we only meet like every couple of months because we're adults with busy schedules, and I think that's the real pain of D&D. I have, for those of you familiar with Taylor Swift, I have a character that's based on the Speak Now era. For Legend of Taylor, they have like characters that are based on specific songs, and their names are also based on specific songs as well. Like, for example, Don't Blame Me, My Tears Ricochet. You also have like side characters and also in jokes with the fandom, like you have friendship bracelets. You have like these tabaxis called the Karma Police. It's a fun podcast. I listen to it on Spotify in the background if I just need to like just listen to something, and I can like sort of live vicariously with my D&D character Amethyst, who's my paladin, my Speak Now paladin. And like I would just think of like, okay, what would Amethyst do in this situation? What would Amethyst do? How would Amethyst react? So this is kind of like, I don't know, like, do people kind of do this with their D&D characters? Like, they'll listen to a D&D podcast, or they'll watch a D&D thing, and you'll kind of think to yourself, this is what my character would do, or this my character would be friends with this character. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I really enjoyed this panel. And of course, in Taylor Swift and Swifty fashion, I gave everyone in the panel friendship bracelets. I was cosplaying from Tortured Poets, and then I had my 1989 badge ribbons to give away as well. So I just wanted to like, hey, you guys are amazing, and um, just being a Swifty is always amazing. Just running into nerdy Swifties is just always a 13 in my book, 13 out of 10. Of course, here's my friend here, and one of the chill zones at the convention center. He's kind of like just sitting in his rocking chair, about to enjoy his lunch. I always like to point out like some zones where you can also de-stim and just kind of take a break from people. I'd like to say that the Anaheim Convention Center is like a good place to like just find places where you can just kind of get a bit of quiet, and just kind of like sort of de-stim. So I didn't do the rocking chair zone this year, but my friend did. Um, but this is just also just a nice place just for peace and quiet. And if you're feeling old, you know what? Rocking chairs are fun. I'm just discovering that. And maybe I should just get a secret lab, tell Secret Lab, like, hey, can you make like rocking chairs for gamers? Be nice. All right, I just want to highlight some cosplays from Sunday. So I ran into some Twisted Wonderland peeps. Ran into a Luna Snow cosplayer. I had to explain to my buddy who Luna Snow was. And then, of course, I love seeing Zatanna and Constantine. Zatanna is my favorite DC character. Sometimes I wonder, like, can I cosplay as her? Like, would I be able to pull her off? I don't know. Hey, it looks like we have a friend in the chat. Hello. We are just about to wrap things up. Welcome to Sunday. And just some other cosplays on Sunday. We have Jeff the Shark, like I mentioned before. Marvel Rivals was definitely a popular cosplay at the convention, and I just love how people like interpret Jeff the Shark. And I also have to highlight because I am such a fan girl. Been a fan girl since I was 14. Christine Daae in the ballet outfit and the masquerade outfit at the start of Act 2. And then we have Richard Attenborough from Jurassic Park. I forgot his character name. I just know the actor name. He was at Princess Diana's funeral. Okay. Also, just a couple of highlights, cosplay highlights. We had the Phenomena aliens here. It's strange because I don't have a lot of nostalgia for the Phenomena aliens. I know like a lot of people do. I have more nostalgia for the Yip Yips. You know, Yip 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 Yip. I know maybe Phenomena is more of a Gen X thing than a millennial thing. I don't know, but anyway, you tell me in the comments. And then I have my friends cosplaying from My Little Pony G1, from the movie. We have Megan who loves stallions, and then we also have the witches, and they have schmooze because nothing can stop the schmooze. And then I ran into Ted Lasso um, at the at the Anaheim Hilton lobby. And of course, I just have to highlight this. My favorite cosplay of the convention was Florida from The Simpsons. Of course, I was wearing Taylor Swift in the Tortured Poets outfit, and just random fact, Taylor Swift in that very same outfit I wore on Sunday actually performed with Florence and the Machine, and they sang Florida together on the Eras Tour London Night 8. I was there outside the arena when that happened. And of course, in Simpsons fashion, my buddy here decided to cosplay as Idaho. Because why not? I'm Idaho. And before we wrap things up, just wanted to give a shout out to my book, The Fangirl Diaries, Anime Fandom at the Turn of the Millennium. You can get this at major bookstores. You can get this on Amazon. You can get this at Barnes and Nobles. However, if you do get it through Underdog Bookstore, you can also get a signed copy and a free bookmark of The Fangirl Diaries. Order your copy today if you happenstance to order it on Amazon or Barnes and Nobles. I'd be more than happy to sign your copy at a convention that I'm at. All right, with that said, final thoughts. So, my final thoughts on WonderCon. I actually enjoyed this year's WonderCon. I always go into WonderCon with a bit of anxiety, mainly because I've had some terrible experiences with photographers and cosplayers in the past. However, I've mainly focused in on just hanging out with friends, people watching, and just kind of just doing my own thing rather than just worrying about like being seen and get cosplay photos taken. Since I've been learning how to self shoot, cosplay photography just hasn't been an issue, but I will say that there is a prevalence of creepy photographers at WonderCon. Even my buddy and I noticed that there was this older gentleman with a like an early 2000s camcorder, just being very creepy with people. He always shows up to like a lot of these conventions as well. However, I enjoyed a lot of the panels I went to. I mainly focus on going to book panels. I always love meeting new authors. Getting more books I want to read is always a plus. I like talking to a lot of my author friends in the indie press section. This is kind of like writer's block at Emerald City Comic Con, where they have like a section just for like writers and indie publishers. So one of my favorite things about that con about the con was They had like the stamp rally. You didn't have to spend anything for the stamp rally. You just had to visit just all these romance author books, all these romance author booths. And if you got all of them signed, you get you get entered in to win a Kindle. And because I want to read more ARCs and I don't want to read on my laptop, like, you know what, a Kindle would be nice. Unfortunately, I did not win a Kindle, but I got to meet a lot of great authors I'm now friends with because, not gonna lie, being a writer as a profession is hard. I'm glad I have a day job. I'm glad I have a steady set of income, even in this economy. But being a writer is hard, and having a community that is supportive and keeps cheering you on is what all writers need. And I'm just glad to have found that more of that at WinterCon. And I'm also glad to see that there is a growing presence of like book folks at WinterCon, because I like to like to vary my experience after different conventions, at anime conventions. I want to see what's up with anime. I want to see if there's like any old school things, and if there's no old school things, like, yeah, let me be the one to create that space for old school anime. And at WonderCon and pop culture conventions, I say like the more opportunities for us book people to have programming and to meet authors, the better. Because, not gonna lie, a lot of book events are expensive. They're like in the hundreds, and like, I don't have that kind of money. Um, so it's just really great to just make friends and just discover new authors at something like WonderCon, which is not primarily a book con, but also is very much includes books, authors in their celebration of the popular arts. And I hope we can also see this energy at San Diego Comic Con. Again, just shout out to my friends that I was hanging out with. Shout out to my buddy Matt, who's one of my favorite photographers, who did photo shoots of my Taylor Swift cosplay and my Felicity cosplay. And shout out to my buddy Geki for being a awesome friend and awesome panel moderator, laptop person. And it was great using your laptop because my laptop had broke before the convention, and that's why this live stream is delayed, because normally we would have this at a later date. But now we have it's better late than never to have this video on WinterCon. But overall, I really like WinterCon, but I also don't blame people for feeling that they were robbed at WinterCon, because the price tag for WinterCon is 135. And I kind of felt like this is more like a $70 weekend convention than a $135 convention. I probably wouldn't have spent more than 80 if I were to spend money on WinterCon for all 3 days. Also, parking is not cheap either. Parking is about $25 a day, so I would recommend, if you're going to WinterCon, carpool, split that cost, because that $25 adds up. With that said, I enjoyed WinterCon. Glad I was able to check out the 10 Ford, the not the cosplay, the 10 Ford, like, just chill lounge. I was able to just take a lot of photos, cosplayers, meet new friends, sing karaoke. It was a lot of fun, and I really hope that I'll have just as much fun. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if I get into San Diego Comic Con this year. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to another serving of convention tea. Again, I am Nadeshko Gatsby, the Wisteria Witch, and this is my cottage where we just spill tea on my latest conventions. So the next serving of tea will be SoccerCon. We're hoping to have that up sometime soon. We're hoping to have that up, hopefully, fingers crossed, before Final Fantasy Fan Fest this weekend. And yes, we'll also be covering Fan Fest for the website, and we'll probably serve some tea on Fan Fest because I've never been. And this should be a very interesting experience for me. I'm not planning to cosplay. I'm probably gonna just gonna probably quote unquote bound as a character from Final Fantasy 14. So let's just see what happens. With that said, thank you again, WonderCon, for inviting us to do panels. It's always a pleasure, like, contributing to your programming. This also gives an excuse to just build community, just kind of build relationships with folks who are very much interested in learning about fandom history, and also bringing like some elder millennials all in one room, just so we could all be here together to just kind of like enjoy the past and make friends in the present. It's all about building community. It's about the love and not the likes. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been another serving of convention tea. And remember, the convention is what you make of it. So make it a good one. And we'll see you at the con.